Welcome, guys, to another video of Professor Trade. And today I wanted to talk about uh, the recent story I came across. It was a very tragic event. So I don't know if you guys saw the story. Basically, what happened was there was this worker at Wells Fargo, I believe, and the person died in the office cubicle while working, but no one realized that he died. And yeah, he was basically dead in his office desk for a few days until security came up and found him dead. And I just want to, that video just hit me home because it really just symbolizes the current disease of our time, which is people not realizing the purpose of life. And look, the purpose of life, like, no one's telling you shouldn't focus on your career or be ambitious or anything like that. But the purpose of life is to have memories and have fun. Okay? If you spend your entire life at work and then you're 65, you get a pension, but you're too old to enjoy the pension, right? And then, like this worker, he spent so much time working that he died of a heart stroke on his desk at Wells Fargo. I believe it was Wells Fargo. It was a bank, that I know for sure in USA. And yeah, so he died on his desk and no one even bothered to check up on him, and he was found a few days later by a security guard working there. So, look, man, this is like the fundamental mistake that a lot of people make, which is that they they don't prioritize what's important in life. Okay, and it's one thing if you want to accomplish something big in life, that's one thing. But you know, getting promoted to through the ranks of a corporate ladder and becoming a CEO, in my opinion, that you're not achieving. That's not. You're just a top level bureaucrat. You're not like if you think about it, if you have worked in an organization and you're climbing up the corporate ladder, you become a manager, then a senior manager, executive, and then you become the CEO. In your eyes, you have accomplished a lot. But the reality is, if your name was written in history, it would be written as nothing but a bureaucrat. Maybe a good bureaucrat, maybe someone who was able to bring in efficiency and cost cutting operations in his business. But you're a bureaucrat, that's it. So in your eyes, you have achieved a lot because you're now a CEO of a company or you're a manager and you're spending your entire life 24/7 to this company, to this job. But the reality is you're just a bureaucrat. You're not going to be talked about in history, right? Maybe if you're a very good CEO, a very good bureaucrat, they'll talk about you maybe one or two lines in the history book. But at the end of the day, you might think you have accomplished a lot by sacrificing a family, your own life, your own personal happiness for a bureaucratic top job. But you haven't really accomplished anything in the bigger picture. Okay, and this is the fundamental problem that a lot of people have. Look, no one's telling you you should just, give up your ambitions, give up your dreams. But if your dream is to be a top level bureaucrat and you think you're dreaming big, I would say you're dreaming too small. Okay, because look at what happened. This worker, he worked hard, and he definitely was a good worker. Otherwise, why would he be in the office for so long? After work, that his colleagues didn't even bother to recognize, notice him that he was dead. He was definitely a hardworking worker. He was definitely eyeing for a promotion or something. But now he's dead and it's over. And is people gonna talk about him tomorrow? Maybe I'm talking about him today, but I'm talking about him in the context of a bigger problem in our system, the disease of our time, which is that people cannot look at the bigger picture. They think they're looking at the bigger picture, but they're not. Okay. Some people, they don't want to go do those, work hard, climb up the corporate ladder. They just want a simple job and have fun, have memories with their friends and family. Okay. But someone who's not doing that and focusing on becoming a top level bureaucrat at a company, you're not achieving much more than that person. Like on the bigger picture in terms of history, the reason, we talk about history is we want to talk about the great people who achieved something. Okay, and that's why when you're obsessed with your career, with your profession, you're not focused on why that's not a big deal. You think it's a big deal because you've worked your ass off, or you've worked 24/7 for that position, for that job, for that paycheck. Maybe you can brag about it to your family and friends, but they don't care. They're gonna be envious about it deep inside. They will not show it to you. But people are selfish in general, and anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you, or they're lying to themselves, or both. Okay, people are selfish in general. So if you get a top bureaucratic position, maybe it looks nice on your LinkedIn page. Maybe you get a good paycheck, you get some respect at the office. People are trying to blow steam off your ass because they want a promotion too. But that's all fake, and that's not true respect. It's all fake. And so especially nowadays, you see, especially in Western world, these people that they'll sacrifice their health, forget lives, they'll sacrifice their health for that top level bureaucratic position. And they think they're achieving something great because they gave up their entire life for it. But in the bigger picture of things, you're nothing. You're really nothing. You're just a simple bureaucrat. And if you truly want to achieve something in life, and you truly want to achieve something that will make people uh, remember you in the long run, that you'll be talked about in the history books, you're not going to get that by sacrificing your life to a job, to a top level bureaucratic position. And this is the disease of our time that we live through, where people think their degree, their professions, their career are so important that they have to give up everything for it. And then when they get the top level position, that it's a big deal. But it really is not. It really isn't a big deal if you think about it. Okay. And someone once told me the higher you move up the corporate ladder, the less work you do day to day, the more you're accountable for, but the less responsibility you have. That's pretty much the what's going on. And like the purpose of this video is I want people to really deeply just think objectively, think deep, and understand what is your purpose. Why were you born on this planet? If it was just to have fun, have a good life, do it. But if you really believe that you want to achieve something great in life, don't, misbelieve yourself that if I get a CEO position, I've achieved something great in life because no one cares. It's just a bureaucratic position. It really is not a big deal as a lot of people think. Okay? You're just a bureaucrat and you haven't achieved something great in life. At the same time, you've sacrificed your family and friends' personal time for it. So if you really want to achieve something great in life, do it, but don't go down this false belief that, oh, if I, get that promotion to managerial level, if I get that promotion to a CEO level, then I've achieved something great in life. Don't BS yourself into thinking you have achieved something great when you haven't. That's all I say. Be real, okay? And always think about priorities. You're gonna come across moments in your life where something that happened very recently is it resonates with you strongly. It has strong emotional triggers for you. But you have to ask yourself, in the priority list, where does it belong? Okay. You have to prioritize your life. Okay. And first, it has to be your health. If you are not healthy, you're not going to be able to go and conquer other people, other things. Okay. You need to be physically fit, mentally fit, if you want to go and then conquer something in the world and be written in the history books. You're not going to do that by getting a bureaucratic position in an office after doing a lot of office politics, probably. Okay, that's not okay. Don't fake, don't falsely believe you're great when you're not. Okay. And yeah, I've met so many people who have so much talent, so much abilities, but They give up their entire life to this corporate BS, and they just don't realize it. It's really not worth it. It's really not worth to get that extra paycheck to do go through all those office politics and hopefully get a managerial or top level position in the end. Okay, it's really not worth it. So yeah, and so then we come to the question, what's the purpose of life, right? If you want to think in general, what is life all about? Okay, it's about taking risk, as I said in one video, but it's also about understanding where you excel. What are abilities that you have that are better than other people? It's really that simple. Okay, we can all do the basic things, right? We can all read, write, learn something new, get trained on a job. Yeah, we can all do that. Those are basic stuff. But what makes you as a person unique? If you can focus, if you can magnify your focus on that, and if you can stick to that, you're gonna achieve something great. Okay, and that will be something truly great, not something like this corporate BS, bureaucratic top level position. If that you're not good, okay, like I said, um, focus on what makes you unique. What is something that you have that other people don't, or other people are lacking. And I know this is something vague, some vague advice that you're listening, that you think a lot of career people gave you, career advice that people gave you. But the truth of the matter is, if you go back to your childhood, if you go back to your early days, you can easily identify something that resonated strongly with you, that you were really good at, that people told you that you were really good at. Okay. And it probably wasn't, a subject. It probably was something much deeper, you know. And yeah, you have to find out what that is. And so, like, you have to find out, yeah, like if you're struggling to find out what you're unique at, just go through history. Read the great figures in history, the controversial figures in history, and understand why they excelled at what they were doing. Okay. For example, you can think about a guy like, for example, Genghis Khan, right? He conquered a lot of Asia, a lot of Eastern Europe, and sorry. So why was he able to create such a large Mongolian empire just by riding on the horseback? Did he conquer it just because he was able to ride on a horseback? If you actually read his personal story, his biography, and there are records of his history, he was his father died when he was very young. Okay, and he had to live most of his childhood on the run because he was the next leader. The other people were trying to kill him because they wanted to be the next leader, the next Khan of the clan. And he was basically on the run for most of his teenage years and early adult years. So he learned how to survive. Okay. He didn't think about what happened 5 days ago. He didn't think about what the retaliation might be 5 days, 10 months from now. No, I have to survive right now. The enemy army is coming to kill me. How can I survive right now? Okay. And he was very in the moment because he had no other choice. It was always about surviving now. Okay. Forget the past, forget the future. How do I survive now? That's what he was focused on. And you have to create that. And like, if you think about that, you understand how he was able to conquer so many armies and countries in Asia, in Eastern Europe, because from an early age, he learned how to survive. And then because of his reputation, his family's reputation, he also because he learned how to identify trustworthy people in his circle. So he was able to build up this circle of people he could trust. Then he went to war. And by that point, he learned all the survival tactics. And so when he went to war, he always won. Okay. Because he knew how to survive. And the saying that uh, lose the battle but win the war. That's 100% true. If you want to create a big empire, for example, like someone like Genghis Khan, you have to learn how to survive. Attacking is not always the answer. Being on the defensive is also not always the answer. Sometimes the answer is to just disappear. Just disappear and learn to survive. Okay, it's not necessarily being on the defensive. Okay, it's just to get out of enemy's vision altogether, get out of the sight of the enemy completely. And when you're in a strong position, come back. And he learned very well from an early age how to do that. Okay, and that's why he became such a good leader for his clan. And yeah, not just him, you can look at other people too throughout history that has done similar things. For example, let's look at USA. Let's look at a guy like George Washington. People say, oh, he was the founder, the first president of USA. He was such a great army leader, army general, and all that, which are all kind of true. But what people forget to think is that General Washington, George Washington, was an army general in the British Army. In the British colonial army, he was an army general. And then he basically left that army and formed his own army to take on the British Army. So by the time he formed his own federal confederate states of army, the Union Army, take on the British colonialist, he already had a good understanding of the structural weaknesses and strength of the British colonial army. And that's why he was able to take them on head on and win. Okay. He wasn't able to win because he had some, I mean, yeah, he had tactical geniuses. He didn't have military higher power than the British colonialists, but he understood them very well because he worked with them, because he was one of them. Okay. So sometimes, the saying, it takes one to know one, it's 100% true. If you want to fight the devil, you have to have had a past as the devil. It's really, I know it sounds very controversial, but you're not, okay. If you want to take on your enemy, you have to be able to understand your enemy from a deep psychological level. Guys like Genghis Khan, who's had to survive most of his childhood, when he was under attack and winning against his enemy, he understood his enemy's psychology very well. He understood the survival instincts that are coming in their head. Okay, and so he knew that very well. And a guy like, for example, George Washington, because he worked with the British colonialists, he understood their army tactics, their strategies very well by the time he went against them. And so your childhood basically will determine your future. There's no way around it, man. Okay, if you want to achieve something great in life, you have to go back to your childhood. Okay, you have to go back to what was your childhood like. Okay, what were your early teenagers like? Teenage years. What was your early adulthood like? And then those experiences basically built it amplified your strengths and it showed you your weaknesses. Okay. So think about the times in your childhood, in your teenage years, in your early 20s, where you had an experience and the experience brought out the best in you. Okay. People were basically applauding you for what you did. Think about that. What was that moment like where your hidden strength was displayed and it was amplified? And that's basically what you have to focus on if you're trying to achieve something great in life. No one's telling you build an army, start an army, and start conquering people, but it can be anything. If you're trying to conquer people's attention, if you're trying to conquer finance, if you're trying to be the leader in an industry, and if you're trying to set up a business, leading business in an industry, and that's what I mean. Be the CEO of your own company. Don't work for another company, do the office politics, get up the corporate ladder, and think you're a big shot. Okay, because you managed to get through the office politics to be the CEO of the company. Don't think that. Okay, always focus on your own strength and try to establish something that you own. Okay, so if you're the CEO of your own company, that's a different thing. Okay, at that point, you have built a company. You're not just a bureaucrat. You are a creator. Okay, and if you can build that company into a leading firm in that industry, then you're a leader in that industry. Okay, Think about it's not the same thing. Being a CEO for another company, another not your own company, being the CEO of another shareholder's company versus being the CEO of your own company is a very, very different thing. So understand that very well and work on that and focus on that.